Keep this in mind. Always keep this in mind. Whatever the headlines of the day are, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, an indictment here, the primary, whatever the case may be, what's happening right now in this country, frankly, in the West, in the world, so much bigger than one man or one race or one primary. There are huge things happening. And if you only make it about one person, you miss those things. Someone who's great about that, whose wisdom I lean on from time to time, Mike Cernovich. He's the creator of Hoaxed, which you should have watched a long time ago to figure out what you're seeing out there. His Substack's also outstanding. Okay, Mike, we have an evil government. That's really what I take from all this. We have an evil, corrupt government, and they're capable of doing horrible things. And this isn't the last horrible thing they're going to do. This is what horrible governments do.
Yeah, we don't have a government because that would imply democratic participation. We have an occupying regime. We're like the French who were occupied by the Nazis. That's where we are, because how can anyone call what we have a government when the regime is trying to make it impossible for us to vote in the 2024 election? They're disenfranchising over 75 million voters by not allowing us, or attempting to not allow us, to vote for Donald Trump. So I think that as much as it might trigger some normies or so-called decency conservatives, it's time that we stop calling this a government and we understand that we're occupied. The French were occupied by the Nazis. For a lighter look at it, I tell people, you watch Casablanca. That's us right now. We don't have a government. We have a regime, and you comply when you must. You resist when you can, and that's the only solution right now going forward. As bleak as people may find it, I find moral clarity to be helpful and in some cases beautiful.
I do too, Mike. I like clarity, even harsh clarity, but I'm a little bit taken aback by how many people on our side do not want that. I've been a little blown away in the last 24 hours by seeing things like, Trump's going to overcome, Trump will beat this, he's stronger than the deep state. And I understand people love candidates. I understand people love Trump. I get that. But this childlike naivete about how serious this situation is, Mike, I can't wrap my head around what I'm looking at.
Well, I'm used to it, as are you, because when we were saying well over a year ago, I believe, maybe 2 years ago, that Trump would be indicted, it was endlessly triggering to me in the way that spam is triggering to me for people to say, for what? Indicted for what? He make no law. And right? I mean, that we have PTSD, Twitter PTSD at this point, from all the harassment by people assuring us that he can't be indicted, he didn't break any laws. Oh, wow, that's so cute, it matters. And now the same crowd is saying, well, it's actually a good thing that he's been indicted because he's going to have some glorious win in court. Look, I can tell you this because as a lawyer, every lawyer will tell you this, right? You can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. You don't want to be in the system, man. You do not win in the system. General Flynn was finally vindicated. Oh, great. After being bankrupt, after questioning the lives that he had seen die in wars that he was a part of, questioning his country, which again is now an occupied regime. You don't win from this. So Trump has already, in a sense, lost. But what they want to do is, again, they're Marvel movie watchers. They're people that I'm rude to. They're the people who probably every time you'd retweet me or Michael Mouse retweets me, they go, oh, Cernovich blocked me because he's a baby, he's a pansy, he can't. No, you're stupid. You're stupid. You watch Marvel movies, you're an idiot. Quite the contrary. I'm someone who is looking at the moment that we're facing, and I'm staring down a demon, some kind of creation out of an H.P. Lovecraft novel. And you're in the replies telling me, no, it's actually good Trump was indicted because now we really know how bad it is. And boy, if we just let the moderates see how bad it is, and the moderates are going to come to our rescue, and it's going to be some glorious, heroic end for us because now people really know. And so Cernovich can't take that hard truth, right? So a lot of this can be traced back to the QAnon movement, the people saying, trust a plan. Cernovich, they called me a never Trumper, the guy who threw the biggest inauguration party in the Trump administration, that threw the biggest inauguration event. I was a never Trumper because I said, no, you actually don't need to trust a plan. You need to get on Trump's butt because here are all the things that are going wrong. nope, trust the plan, complacent, compliant, goobers. And now they're saying, oh, with Trump, and by the way, they believed all the weird stuff in 2020 where, oh, there was a shootout. Did you hear there was a shootout over the secret server and the Patriots are in control and Trump is actually really going to be inaugurated? And I think, well, you people you're poison. And I don't think they vote either, which is why I don't mind insulting it. Don't insult your crazies that vote. That's rule one of politics. Crazy's going to be crazy. You don't see the Democrats attacking the literal criminals and rioters that they have, because if they vote, they vote. But these people that didn't even vote, they're completely compliant and complacent. That led to 2020. That led to January 6th. That kind of Marvel movie thinking is what's leading people, including Trump, down a very, very bad path now. It's, for me, very frustrating. And frankly, I mean, I just don't have the patience, again, for it. Moral clarity means, look, we're up against evil. Do you believe that we're up against demons? Well, I don't believe in demons. Okay, bye. You're out of the conversation. Do you believe we're up against evil? Well, I see a lot of the conservatives who support DeSantis going, well, counts 3, 4, and 5 look a little suspicious. But shut the F up. What are you're nitpicking an indictment as if there's any legitimacy to this at all. Right. Well, maybe count 1 isn't totally frivolous, but 3 and 4 are. Shut up. Right. Those people, they're out of the tent. So a lot of these, too, to bring it back full circle to Donald J. Trump. There was a National Review article in 2016, Never Trump. And in 2017, when Trump won, Trump decided, well, Never Trump doesn't mean Never Trump. Come on in. Come on back to the tent. Trump began listening to Never Trump because they would flatter him, because if you're willing to just change your opinion on a dime, you don't have an actual worldview, right? You just realize, well, I can't really insult Trump and get away with it because my audience is mad. Nobody's going to listen to me, so I have to do what I have to do. Trump listens to them. They tell him all the wrong things. The people who were for Trump, Bannon, everybody's pushed out of the White House. 2020, no one's prepared for the moment. And now we're seeing the Never Trumpers pivoting back to their Never Trump roots and saying, oh, now you have to realize that maybe the indictment's like illegitimate, but we're not, or do what DeSantis. Well, we need equal justice under the law. Okay, I don't see you calling the indictment illegitimate, right? Mealy mouth, forked tongue, coward nonsense. That's what I'm seeing from DeSantis and his Never Trump 2024 squad. So we're in a predicament. That's for sure. We are in a predicament.
Mike, I don't make these things about the election and things like that, but we do have a big election, and there's an election coming, and it looks like the leading candidate might be in jail, maybe not in jail, but in trouble. How do we even have an election? How do we even have a primary? Right? But how do we even navigate through this thing? Nobody watching right now, and doesn't matter their age, has ever lived through what we're about to live through. That's crazy to me.
Well, the Ukrainians are living through that because they're not able to have an election either. That interesting. They're a war for democracy, but there's Gonzaga Libre, who is a Chilean, I think American, is somewhere in the Ukrainian gulag system. Who even really knows? Because he's a little weird on his own, but he's just kind of vanished. And I don't see the U.S. Embassy trying to get him out of Ukraine because he's arrested for making YouTube videos. So we're seeing in Ukraine, remember, the liberals created Russia as a way to, a metonym for MAGA people, right? None of us were pro-Russia, right? If you go back to 2012, the media was pro-Russia. They were the ones posting, oh, here's Putin with his shirt off. Isn't he hot riding a horse, right? I remember that the media tried to come after me for doing pro-Putin propaganda because I had linked to articles from Business Insider and other people where it's like, oh, look at Putin and there's no shirt. Oh, he does judo. Look at him with George W. Bush. The media is the one who was pro-Russia. But then they said, let's just see what kind of experiment we can run where we'll convince the liberals, the liberals, right, the Democrats, the Bolsheviks, to see Trump supporters as Russians, and then we'll see what the Ukrainians can get away with doing it. So we've seen footage of legitimate war crimes against Russians. But if you say, hey, maybe you shouldn't shoot Russian soldiers in the knees while they're bleeding out, make them bleed out, maybe you should do that. Oh, you're pro-Russia. We're seeing it all unfold in Ukraine. That's where the regime sees how much they can get away with.
Yeah.
Gonzaga Libre, again, I'm not saying he's some beacon of virtue or whatever, but he's in there, he's in the system, and we don't know, and our embassy doesn't care. So
Yeah.
words that you got to live by. Only way out is through, man. It really is. The only way out is through. We can't stop. They want us to stop. They want us to feel despair. So on the one hand, you have the doomers, the fake feds. Oh, Jesse, you just don't have the courage to tell people what they really need to do. It's like, okay, well, you go do it, buddy. You know, like all these the Fed trapping now, that would be, I guess, maybe as we run out of time, my final warning. The Fed trapping is through the roof. Look, anybody telling you, oh, you need to do voting doesn't work, you need to do more. Well, why aren't they doing it? Oh, because they're recruiting you for another little Michigan kidnapping plot. So just wait until 2024 when they're arresting people and rounding up wholesale. So please, everybody watching, anybody starts talking about take action, that's the Fed. Get the hell away from that DM group real fast.
Yep. Mike, thank you, boss. Appreciate you.
Always a pleasure. Be well.